I don't have any idea. Oh, it looks like it stopped. Or did it not even play? I don't know.
We'll find out.
Find out after.
Hi,
Hi.
we're finally doing this,
About time.
dude. For real, it's been
2 years in the making. Not making that up.
good lord.
So, because you have no clue who I am. Hi, Zach. I'm Steve.
And because you have no idea who I am, no one knows who I am. Hi, Steve. I'm Zach.
Actually, I think in true accordance with everyone else in our lives. Hi, Steve. I'm Zach.
Hi, Zach. I'm Steve.
All right, now that we've gotten the formalities out of the way, what is super relevant right now?
Star Wars,
And even more specifically,
World War III.
I mean, more like the battle of the drug cartels and mercenaries.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you can find that in Mexico too. So.
So now the Star Wars equivalent of Pablo Escobar, the Pikes.
Yep.
So now we should probably actually say what we're talking about. The
Book of Boba Fett.
All right, so what do we want to talk about that because it's super relevant. The last episode is airing in what,
3
3
days,
days?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Well, I have kind of a hot take for the 0 listeners that we're gonna have.
Amen. You know I'm always in for a hot take. As
Um,
hot as the lava on Mustafar.
Well, so do you want me to start with mine, or do you want to start with yours? Because at breakfast you seem to have some fun stuff that you wanted to save.
So I came up with an idea, but it actually has nothing to do with the Book of Boba Fett. So I'm going to wait for a natural tangent to happen.
Okay, so then I'll start with mine because mine's not only a hot take, but it's more of a rant.
Okay,
let
so
me just get my notes
if
out.
it's anything specific and you need to describe it, feel free
Yeah.
before you actually get into it.
Okay, so my whole thing is that the people who are complaining about Boba and how they haven't done a good job with him, they need to shut up. Because if you think about it, Boba is being portrayed exactly how he should be portrayed. It's not how we want him to be portrayed. And that's where the kind of line gets mixed. So if you think about it, Boba is a brand new crime lord guy. Like, he's never
run anything.
He's never run a crime
Always
lord.
been the hired gun.
Yeah, exactly. He's been a bounty hunter. So he's new to this. So while for any smart person, the name Boba Fett strikes fear into their hearts, as it should, he's not a crime lord. And the Book of Boba is showing him setting up being a crime lord. But when you're on Tatooine, the home of scum and villainy
Yeah.
everywhere.
Literally. Not just a throwaway line in A New Hope.
Exactly. The name Boba Fett as a crime lord has about as much as Luke Skywalker as a moisture farmer.
Especially since the word around was, hey, you're dead.
Yeah. So while we see him be super awesome in Mando and just like crushing stormtroopers with a stick, you're not going to see that from a crime lord. Now, could they show that in certain scenes, and should they have? Yes, absolutely. But that's not what you're going to see from a crime lord. Like, you don't see Jabba running around like smacking people with his tail. He's a giant slug. But
That's
he
true.
has people run his crime stuff for him.
Yep. He hires Boba.
That's what Boba does now. So while we want him to see like this super awesome Boba Fett that we all know and love, he's setting up a crime lord or a crime syndicate, and he's a brand new crime lord.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have anything. He has to hire staff essentially. So what does he do? He hires the Gamorreans. He hires the Mods. And then you tie in Mando. Now Mando's been a well-established character, and the recency bias of how awesome he is makes it more easily relatable for Mando, so they can expand on that. But what you're seeing specifically with Boba is exactly what you're supposed to be seeing. It's just not what we were expecting, nor did we want.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why everyone's all gung-ho. It's not about Boba. It's not Boba anymore. It's called the...
So yeah, you're regarding to the last 2 episodes where he has had 1 minute collective screen time with no lines.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
But if you think about it, the Book of Boba tells the story of Boba. Well, right now the story is him setting up his crime syndicate.
Mm-hmm.
And if that means expanding on Mando because he is a huge part of Star Wars right now,
Mm-hmm.
then have at it. At the end, when you look back on it, it's going to tell the story of Boba running his whole crime thing.
Absolutely. And to go along with that, I think they're also making a money move right now by not let alone the incorporation of having Mando and Grogu come back. Not even just that, it's the extreme focus on them at the moment. It's going to get people invested who go, "Oh, I'm not going to watch this show. I only
Exactly.
started watching because of Baby Yoda and I was watching Mandalorian."
Exactly.
So
But
now it's going to bring in more viewership.
even more, I guess, is we all wanted to see more of Boba. I mean, I wasn't around in the 70s, but I remember as a kid watching, the original trilogy, and I knew who Boba was at that time. Through other Star Wars games and media and whatnot, I knew who Boba was. And I was always disappointed at the way he, at the time, died.
Oh, yes.
And, playing, especially the OG Battlefront 2, playing as Boba was one of my favorite things, because he was really hard to beat. And I always wanted to see more of him. So the one drawback that I have for the show is that they don't expand on that with Fennec. Because Fennec, if you think about it, is the Boba of the Book of Boba Fett. She's the hired gun, essentially.
Yes. Yeah. With her, she's got the tenacity.
Yep.
It's not even just her role. It's just like how her personality is.
So
very cutthroat.
If anything, the Book of Boba Fett, if they're going to expand more on a character, it should be Fennec and her adventures and her role with Boba.
I fully agree.
But what you're seeing with Boba is exactly how it should be. It's just disappointing because we wanted to see him be Boba Fett.
Yeah,
the bounty hunter.
And I would say that not a single person expected to go into as much detail of how he not necessarily got rescued from or not rescued because he wasn't rescued from the Sarlacc pit. He escaped himself.
I thought he was going to be rescued by Dengar. I was waiting for it. I was kind of disappointed.
The OG way.
Yeah.
But yeah, nobody expected the whole Tuscan tie-in. And then
exactly.
I think people got invested with the Tuscans and then got severely betrayed. They felt severely betrayed, at first myself included, at just the mass genocide of them and then never touching upon it.
Yeah.
But I've been holding on to a little hope that they'll show a little more of them, especially that warrior.
Yeah.
Because I thought they might, have him help her get her revenge.
Well, I mean, they could touch on that. And I would fully expect them to at some point.
Granted, it's a very minor story arc. That's not necessary.
It is, but given how the story arc progressed,
it was kind of expected.
Yeah. They touch more on that than they did the actual story arc. That's just... I think that's just a drawback of... I wouldn't say good writing or bad writing, which is kind of meh writing. I think they expanded too much in the wrong areas.
Yes.
And it felt forced, at least to me, it felt forced. The whole Pike Syndicate is now bad. Like he's trying to set up this whole system of, okay, I'm the new daimyo, and then all of a sudden, oh, the Pikes are bad. Wait, what? Like, you spent all this time talking about
a partnership with them.
Yeah, or anything. Like all of a sudden, you spend all this time talking about the Tuscans and showing the Tuscans and how cool they are, and then all of a sudden the Pikes are bad. Like there's no setup to it.
Yeah, and people would argue that, well, he can't even try for an alliance with them because they're with Crimson Dawn. It's like, well, at the moment we have no idea. Like, great, there might be comics and books, but let's be honest, even me, one of the most fanatical Star Wars fans, I don't have the time to read a bunch of comics and books.
Well, no.
How am I supposed to know that? So I don't think he could get that alliance if Crimson Dawn is a thing.
I mean, you never know what Filoni's going to pull. He does a lot of fan service, but he also does a lot of cool things.
Yes, and I would say that his fan service isn't solely for the purpose of fan service, because he's such a big fan himself and he's in the creative seat. He's going, this is what everyone would want to see, but how can we make it make sense?
Exactly. Like, he's not just going to pull it out of a hat and say, here you go. He's going to try to tie it all together somehow so it actually works.
Like Luke Skywalker at the end of Mando Season 2, I would argue that that's no way fan service. It just makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
It makes a lot of sense. He would be the Jedi to look for Grogu and rescue him and help him.
Again, my prediction for whenever it happens, whether it's in Ahsoka or Mando or whatever, is that Ezra is going to be the one that actually trains him.
I would love that, and it would make sense and fit his character. because he's not necessarily trying to rebuild the Jedi Order in any way, but he is trying to help people find their way, specifically other Jedi.
Yeah.
Because when Kanan was training him in Rebels,
He wasn't a master though.
no, but he was learning the importance of your focus and
Yep.
balance with the Force, and he's probably going to see that in himself and how that helped him mature, and he'll want to help Grogu with that,
Yeah,
whether
exactly.
or not he's trained to be a Jedi or not.
Just to at least train him to learn how to use the Force.
Yes, exactly, and to at least not let it control you, because that's kind of what the dark side is.
Yeah.
You're allowing your hunger and lust for power to control you instead of finding the benefits.
And you
of the
even see that
Force.
with Ezra. He does that at least once with
Yes.
the Sith holocron.
Mm-hmm.
So he can
The ultimate temptation right there.
Yeah, exactly. So he has firsthand experience about, hey, let's not do this.
Which, based off of the fact that it was a female voice, it was a Sith-like pyramid, and the planet, I forgot the name of it, that it was located on in that episode of Rebels. I want to say that was Treya's academy, but there's no legit evidence to support that, but there's all the minute details there.
Yeah,
that
they kind of
lean
just let
towards
you
that.
put it together without actually saying it. 'Cause
Mhm.
is it canon yet, or is it?
So no, well, so it's a slippery slope because again, it goes based off of books and comics. When
Right.
Rise of Skywalker came out, they had a you know how with every movie they come out with like not a dictionary book, but it'll be a book with pictures
Mhm.
of the characters, and then it'll be like an arrow pointing to like an armor piece, and it'll give a description.
Yep.
So they had the Sith troopers, and it said, "Oh, here were all the battalions that Palpatine had in place," and one of them was called like Revan Battalion. So it's like, wait, so is Revan now canon?
Yeah.
You would
Okay.
think. And then there was one, the Darth Endidu
Yeah.
Battalion, and I don't remember if Nihilus was one of them, but
I don't know.
there was a statue that kind of looked a little bit like Nihilus on Exegol.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that they make him canon because it was
Mhm.
so great, and you could do so much just with Revan and Nihilus
Oh.
and Traya and Scion.
I like the fact that they're going into the High Republic as their next trilogy, but just because I've always loved the Old Republic, I'm like, all right, go a little further back. But I think that this is a good way for them to experiment to see if people actually
Yeah.
like it, because whenever fans want something, it's very difficult to be like, well, is this a good idea just because fans want it? Because I think you shouldn't do something just because fans want it or want it.
I mean, the only reason that you should do something like that every single time is just if you know it's not going to work and you do it just to tell them, I told you it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go.
I mean, any fan could have told you that the way they brought Palpatine back was not a good idea.
No, it was stupid.
Like, the fact of bringing him back is not an original idea at all. It happened in the original books that, like, took place after the original trilogy.
Right.
And it was done in, you can say, creative or non-creative ways. Like, a lot of people think, oh, clone, what a cheap cop-out. I'm like, but that's Star Wars.
Yeah, it is. My issue with it, like, I had no issues with how they brought him back.
Mhm.
I wish they could have come up with something more creative, but, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's stupid.
For me, it's not how, it's when.
Yeah.
And the writing of it.
Somehow,
Somehow.
Palpatine's returned.
Wow. Great.
Ooh, that's A+ Emmy Award material right there.
How does this is a beating a dead horse, but I just have to say this. How does a multi-billion-dollar company have a second grader write the space crawl for that movie?
Kathleen Kennedy.
She's like the scapegoat, honestly.
Because she hasn't done a good job. She's done some good things, but
Yes. Now, do I know, like, with an absolute fact how much control she has? No, but I would imagine being the president, you have almost all control. I would
Yeah.
think.
I mean, that makes sense. And you know enough that you can dress as her for a scary Halloween costume.
Yes, I did.
So,
I'm proud of that one.
you should be
I
like,
used the cloak left over from my Emperor Palpatine costume, and then
Yeah.
instead of his mask, I printed out her face.
so yeah, I mean, you know enough that she's at least not doing
Mm-hmm.
well, and she could be doing better.
I mean, if you notice, just look at the credits of the Book of Boba Fett and the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. She is an executive producer. That's it.
Yep.
Yes, they do have pull, but they put Dave Filoni as what was it? President of the creative
Something like
something
that.
like that.
It's a big title. He has a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, and then Favreau writes and has, I believe, the last say in terms of the creative process.
So does he have the last say over Filoni?
I want to say so because he's the showrunner.
Okay.
So if I'm using that term correctly, that means that since it's his show, he does have the ultimate last say.
Right, but I mean, I'm sure he's not going to tell Filoni no every time. Like they
Exactly.
seem to have everything together and
Now-
their wits about them.
Kathleen can also do the same to Favreau, so I guess he doesn't have the absolute last say. But I mean, they probably learned their lesson and are like, okay, yeah, we'll let you take the wheel.
Yeah,
Our Jesus is Favreau and Filoni.
yeah, for real. They've done.
We have two Jesuses.
We have Jesus.
Jesus. The plural of Jesus.
They've done a great job, and I have the absolute most faith that they'll continue to do a good job.
Even after the controversial third episode of Book of Boba Fett, I still knew the rest of the series was going to be fine, but I still had a little off feeling in my stomach.
I did too, but I think a lot of that was just the uneasiness because of how bad that episode was. Like, okay, you have to make it up here, or at least show that it's not going to continue to go down, and it has to start going up. Because the story to that point hadn't really gone anywhere, and then that came out, and it was a mess. It was a mess.
Yeah. So far, we've kind of done a lot of assuming of what people know what we're talking about. So just to kind of break it down a little bit more specifically, the third episode of the Book of Boba Fett was the introduction to a group called the Mods, which was, I don't know if this is 100% confirmed, but at least the connections are definitely there. They're based off of the Mods from like the 60s and 70s in Britain. They're like a moped gang. I mean, if you look at them, they're basically the same thing.
I'm gonna look them up.
Pale Brits riding mopeds and dressed up like punks, basically.
The Mods Gang England.
So the introduction of them is controversial because you'll hear people describing them as Spy Kids, Power Rangers, and it's because they look silly and out of place. So when you think of the planet of Tatooine, it's a grimy, sunny sand pit.
Yeah.
And not a place for these people without a single grain of sand on their shiny mopeds. Like, they've got to have force fields on it in order to keep the sand off, dude.
For real, I mean, just the wind.
Yeah, so
alone.
now they just look so. Oh my god! I don't know how to defend it. It's just the main issue is that they look too silly, and
They look so out of place.
Yes, you can argue Star Wars is a family show / movie franchise. It's gonna have to have some silliness. I'm like, all right, leave that for Jar Jar.
Yeah, like there's a time and a place for it, and they whiffed on both
You know,
things.
it's sad when Jar Jar looks more serious.
Yeah.
And I like Jar Jar because I was a kid when we grew up with that. So,
Yeah, exactly.
so
So
we
he's
have,
just the fun, goofy.
We've got more leeway.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I would say the introduction of the mods and how they utilize them. Because like I have said to you in personal conversation, if they were saying, oh, this is just one pit stop on our going from planet to planet, it's like, okay, you're not as out of place now.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know, like, I don't think they could have done that because they had all their stupid 1950s mopeds.
Yeah.
So it's
they spent all their credits on that.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
No wonder you couldn't afford water. Like, that was the whole conflict. They stole water.
Like, it's just, even like the mods that they have, like you can stomp now. Ooh. It's
They
just
stomp now?
they stomp now. It's just none of it fit, and
No.
the whole like that girl who's just
Mhm.
super pale, that still bothers me.
Yeah. And so, you know what's another weird thing about Star Wars itself? So it's called, or it's introduced as a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So it's like, okay, so they have a lot of technology that obviously doesn't exist or couldn't exist in our world. So we're kind of just going to have to use our imaginations and be like, okay, sure, they've got it.
No, they have mopeds.
So like my point with that is like they try to make it show like it happened a long time ago because it's like it, the holograms are not lifelike, they're still a fuzzy blue like staticky TV transmission, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got these like speeders that are not flashy, and it makes you believe, okay, this is not a utopia.
Yep.
People are constantly going after fuel and whatnot, but then you have people like that, which I guess makes sense to a degree because you're always going to have the people who have more opportunity than others. So it's
Right.
like, yes, they're going to be shinier, but again, it's Tatooine. They look a little too shiny.
Yeah,
they're,
no,
they're
they
just
do.
out of place.
They have to have some wear and tear, especially if they actually
Mhm.
live there. So obviously they live there, and they said they didn't have any work because they couldn't find any or whatever the stupid reason was.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't have it look brand new. You can't. It makes it look worse.
So basically, any scene that had the mods in that episode was brought down. So the next scene would be the mayor, the mayor's major domo or something like that. I actually like him.
He does a
I'm
good
gonna say
job.
this. He is played very well,
He is.
but again, the mods went after him. But then
In
That's
the
like-
slowest chase scene of
I
all
was
time.
yeah, I was about to say, I was like, okay, sure, have them go after him. Why are they going so slow?
Yeah,
You
like,
can argue that, oh, these vehicles don't go fast. Okay, but you should know better. This is for a cinematic viewing.
Yep.
So make it look good.
Well, here's the other thing. You've seen so many chases before, and we all know mopeds aren't exactly the fastest.
Mm-hmm. But they're space mopeds.
Well, yeah, but not only that, the major domo or whatever. I mean, we've seen things look just like that before that can fly.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not talking like actually like fly through the air, like fly as in fast.
Yeah. Look in Rebels.
Yeah.
They like race in it or something.
So the fact that he's going 2 miles an hour, it makes me think that he's just like a bad driver.
Yeah.
He has to slow down, or else he's just gonna crash into the wall.
Like, what's the point of all their mods if they can't go fast? Like,
Right.
You know how they had like 50 mirrors on each side? Maybe that's why they're like having to look in each mirror before having to like make a turn signal. Like, extendo arm, show that I'm coming to a sharp turn.
They don't have blinkers, so they gotta do the left, right, down, or whatever.
Yeah, the one really pale chick, she's just got her red arm extending out like that. You know what actually would have been a cool incorporation? So that's the other thing. They had the mods, but they underutilized them at the same time of... So actually, hold on, let me start over. It's not that they underutilized them, it's that they utilize them in the wrong ways.
Yep.
So she's got a robotic arm. Why not have her grab like a pole or something as she's making a sharp turn to help her?
Right, like
Like
show
extendo
off
arm.
some of the mods and make
Yes.
make it look more Star Warsy rather than just some robot that some smart kid threw together in his basement
Mm-hmm. And like,
trying to impress his dad.
so like when they had at the end of either that episode or episode 4, the, I don't know his name, I don't know if any of them have names.
I
But
no,
the
I don't know
one
either.
that had the eye,
Yeah.
they actually showed him spying. It was like, okay, good utilization of it.
Right.
He's spying on people. He can actually use it. Her arm, what does it do?
No.
I think she punches Chrysanthemum, because that brings me to the third point of that episode. Another poor inclusion of them is they. It's not the fact that they save Boba Fett, it's how.
Yeah, it's just well, just to quickly backtrack a little bit, how they introduce chrysanthemums in that episode is like how does he get into now Boba's palace?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just there. You hire all the security and he just goes right to your back to tank.
Yeah,
To attack you.
it would make
like,
sense
what?
if they only had the 2 Gamorreans still.
Right.
But now they've got the mods who are there who for plot armor reasons, show up just before he gets his windpipe crushed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, sorry, it was his spine. His spine crushed.
So how do you explain like
This 10-foot Wookiee.
this 10-foot Wookiee walking into this fortress? Like,
Well,
and he just walks in and doesn't get discovered.
Yeah.
Like what is the point of hiring all these people if he could just walk in? Like Fennec didn't know, the Maz didn't know, the Gamorreans didn't know.
And all of them knew and showed up in full gear
Yeah.
right before he dies. Like, okay.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
There was a definite pacing issue.
Yeah, there was. It all felt out of place. Even like the introduction of the Rancor.
Yeah, so like again, what I would argue the redeeming qualities of the episode, having the twins come back and then offer the Rancor, but then they never show the Rancor again or the twins because like you know that the twins are up to something, but then they never develop upon that.
So unless we see it in the next episode, like
Yeah,
it was just a waste. It was an absolute waste of having the twins. Like they didn't. Ooh, the whole thing is they gave you a Rancor that does nothing for the rest of the season. Wow.
Yeah, and again, it's not what they do that bothers me. It's just how they went about it. It's the whole, we're in control. Okay, now we're not going to be in control. We're clearly not hiding anything. It's like, okay, don't jump from one extreme to the other.
Yep.
Show a little more reason. Like, you know, an aside, hologram. Like, you don't have to even show them talking to him. Just off to the side. We can't hear what's going on, but we're like, ah.
Or you can go the route where we see, but the main characters don't. So we know what's going on and that they're clearly up to something. We don't have all the details and all the information, but we know something's going on.
Yeah, or just at least any indication you're going to go back to it, because the way it feels is that they're never going to touch upon it, which I think they probably will. If not this season, another season of a show. Again, it's just how they're going about it. It's just feeling so sloppy.
Yeah. It just overall, that was not a good episode.
But the show picked up so much on episode 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Like, that's when all of a sudden everyone's interested.
I'd even say, like, episode 4, that's one where you see the Starfighter, right?
Yes, that's when he goes into one of his flashbacks.
Yep.
But it doesn't... I think it lasts, like, maybe 3/4 of the episode, but then we still get at least, like, 10 or 15 minutes of the present day.
Right. Okay, so whenever the Naboo Starfighter is introduced with Mando,
yeah,
that's when it picks up.
Oh yeah, episode 5.
And I mean, that whole, you didn't need to see that long of a charade of them making the Naboo Starfighter.
But was it nice?
Yes, it was very nice. And the whole thing about testing it out and like they're clearly just showing off, like, wow, this thing can go. Yeah. This is a missile.
What do you think, wizard?
So, you know, it's just, it doesn't, I understand the whole thing of, well, it's the Book of Boba, and Boba's not in it. But Mando is really hot right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's kind of like the new Boba Fett.
Exactly.
Not just in appearance.
I mean, do you remember the hype for Mando, like, when it came out? And everyone
was
like,
because
whoa,
of Boba.
This is really good. Well, I'm not talking about season 2, season 1.
Oh,
like,
no, that's what I'm saying. It's like, the only reason people are intrigued about a character called the Mandalorian is because of the creation of Boba.
Okay, yeah, I get you now.
Yeah, so like you have the creation and the mystery of Boba Fett, and then that you've later devolved into Jango, and then to the whole Mandalorian lore.
Mm-hmm. Which they touch upon in the Clone Wars.
Yep, and then countless comics, etc.
Yeah. So, I understand, like, why they can just expand on Mando, and that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
He's hot right now, especially, and I don't think they designed it this way, where, you know, a few episodes before was...
Yeah.
But the fact that you can introduce him and expand on him, that makes sense. Like, clearly their stories are going to be intertwined for quite some time. So, you can take Mando and you can go off and have him do his own episodes. Because it's still about the Book of Boba. Because he's working for Boba. As he says, it's on the house.
Yes.
So you can do that.
Which I thought that was a subtle but nice touch.
It was very nice.
very respect your elders-esque.
Well, I mean, he is the new daimyo.
Yeah. Although, how far apart in age are they technically? They're probably not that far. Boba's what? In his 60s? Or late 50s?
I mean, he was a kid in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, so he's up there.
They've got to be relatively the same age.
Yeah, I think Mando's in his 40s.
Yeah, I mean, Mando doesn't look like he's that old.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and Super Battle Droids were going after. They showed him, so that's clearly.
You know he was alive during the
Clone
Clone
Wars
Wars at
and
some
a
point
kid.
because of the Super Battle Droids.
And then in the Clone Wars series, we see a young Boba, probably in his teens.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's not that much older.
So maybe Boba's in like his 50s.
Yeah. Okay.
Because Mando's got to be in his 50s.
That makes sense.
He's got to be.
Yep.
Just off of the basic math. I don't think we can figure it out right now. I mean, if we wanted to, I guess
Yeah.
we could.
I mean, I remember back in season 1, we did the math on how old like Vader would have been.
Yep.
Everyone.
When Grogu like was actually born.
Yeah.
Like what era?
Yeah, it was either that Grogu and Vader are the exact same age, or there
they're
was like
close to it.
very, very close. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. That was fun math.
Mm-hmm.
See, Star Wars math is fun math.
Yes, I don't like other math.
I don't mind other math. But then again, I'm actually good at it.
Yes.
So.
You're sharp but lazy.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Hawking would see your potential and be like, "You're wasting." Oh, sorry, you're wasting it.
Who is that?
Hawking.
Oh, I heard hockey. What?
Hockey, you know,
Hockey.
the Star Wars paraplegic.
I can't do a good hockey.
I mean, mine's not good either. It's just a Big Bang Theory riff.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, it's better than mine. So, all right. So, what do you think is going to happen next episode for Boba?
All right, so I'll give you my first.
Give me an actual prediction, and then of course we need the bad
takes.
We need
Okay,
the bad
so
takes.
I'll give you first take. So my initial reaction when they ended on the cliffhanger, I was my first thought was, okay, he's gonna obviously try to take both in classic Grogu style. He's gonna pick the armor and the lightsaber, but I think ultimately he's gonna go with the armor, and Luke is gonna have to try to bring him to the Mandalorian. Because how else is he going to do it? I mean, he can always call the Mandalorian to come and get him. So then if that's the route they take, then we're going to see things play out with Cad Bane, Boba Fett, Fennec, Mando on Tatooine with the Pikes. I don't think they're going to resolve it in an episode. That would be a little too cheap. Or maybe they will with the Pikes, and then that's the introduction of Kira and the Crimson Dawn to be like, oh, this is so much bigger than you and me and what you think.
Okay.
And
I like
then
that.
at the end, that's when Luke arrives with Grogu, and then it ends in kind of like another classic like spaghetti western standoff. But then they're like terrified because like, uh-oh, it's Luke. Like something kind of like that, or maybe it's like it ends before they even have the inclusion of that.
Okay.
Ooh, actually, I just thought of this. Luke's on his way, but Kira's got like a blockade going on up in space. Luke arrives. And then he gets on the comms with Mando and is like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I got the kid with me. And then they all have to like try to fight them so Mando can get in his fighter to go up there and help.
Ooh.
And then it might end and then pick up with a space dog fight at the beginning of season 3.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. So I don't think anybody's going to actually die, any major deaths. Like Cad's going to live, Fennec will live. I think it's way too early of a live-action appearance for them to kill off Cad. I would not be sad if Fennec died. I don't want it to happen. But I feel like I've gotten enough, and she's quote-unquote died once already, that my heart's not going to break.
Well,
that
I mean,
definitely helps soften
at the
blow.
time, Fennec also wasn't a major character like she is in
True.
Boba. She was just another character.
But I will say, when I recognized Ming-Na Wen, I was like, you did my girl like that? Oh, screw you.
See, I had no idea who she was, so to me, it was just another mission for Boba.
Oh, yeah.
Helping out that bounty hunter or whatever.
I love how everyone knew that was Boba. They're like, that's Boba. That's Boba. It looks nothing like Boba, but that is Boba.
Everyone wanted it to be for whatever reason.
It made sense.
It did.
The sound of the armor, all that.
Yep. So, let's hear your bad take, too, before I delve into mine.
All right. Well, all right. Here's my bad take. All right, so Grogu's not going to pick either. He, in fact, is actually just going to leave the hut without saying a word, and then it's going to follow Luke, going kind of like he's going to tilt his head, kind of curious, like, what the heck is this kid going to do? So he's going to follow him outside, and then Grogu's going to just sit and kind of like do a meditation, like crisscross applesauce with the classic face, and then all of a sudden, all the frogs on the whole like planet are going to lift up, and then he's going to eat them all, and then with every frog he digests, he becomes bulkier and bulkier until he's like this jacked Grogu, and then he finally utters his first words, and
And what are his first words?
Beskar. And he says Beskar in a deep voice, and then he grabs the chainmail and eats it.
You know what? I kind of prefer this over. Not that your other takes were bad, because I really want those, but just the sheer comedy of watching that unfold is great.
And Luke's gonna become a little scared. He's gonna be like, "But fear's not the path of the Jedi. But this is nothing that Yoda prepared me for." And then he's gonna try to contact Mando to calm him down. And then Mando's gonna have to go there and be like, "Sun's getting real low." But it's not gonna work because he's gonna, have a
Hey,
little
big
tussle,
guy.
throw him
Sun's
around.
getting real
And then Fennec's gonna try it in more of a Scarlett Johansson approach, because she's got the womanly touch.
Okay. Okay. All right. So my actual.
Oh wait, hold on. I've got one last addition.
Let's hear it.
Last.
Let's hear it.
So Cad Bane, they're actually gonna Cad Bane's gonna follow them in the fighter and try to kill him, but then they land and then he's gonna be like, "What the heck?" And then Baby Yoda's gonna be like, "Oh, I want to eat him too." And then Cad Bane just goes, "Son, I won't be so hasty if I were you." I don't know why I made him sound like Gollum. I can't really think of how to do his voice.
It sounds better than you think.
Yeah. I just wanted to include that line. And then
Okay.
he eats Cad Bane.
Just swallows them whole.
Yeah.
Someone who's like 4 times his height.
Yeah, and then
in
Cad's
one
just
gulp.
in the stomach, like, with a lighter, going like, not again.
Just shoots his way out. He started blasting.
Oh no, because he ate the Beskar chainmail, his stomach is now lined with it. So he's indestructible.
He has gained indestructible.
Cannot be destroyed by a card with the words, destroy.
Opponent cannot win the game and you cannot lose. So, my prediction. I'll give
this
you
is your good one?
Yeah, I'll give you my good one. And
Alright.
But just before I do, never mind. I couldn't remember the thought that I had. So if I remember it, I'll go back to it.
Word.
So my good prediction is, so even though I want Grogu to pick the lightsaber because I think he should go with the training,
That would be the smart move.
because I think that Ezra should train him, he can't pick the lightsaber because that means Luke will train him.
Mhm.
So they've tied in Ahsoka a couple of times to Mando, so I think that in the Ahsoka show they'll tie Mando in some way, somehow, in her adventures again, along with Sabine, which I'm really hoping for. And so
I'd love to see a live action.
yeah, I would too. I think that'd be great. It's Chopper.
Did you know he's voiced by Dave Filoni?
I do now. So he's gonna pick the armor, which means Luke is gonna bring him back to Mando.
Yes.
And somewhere along the way in his adventures, they're gonna run into Ahsoka, and Ezra's gonna make that connection with him because her whole thing is trying to find Ezra. So maybe at the end of the season they find Ezra or something, or you see like a flashback or a future calling where Ezra hears Grogu's call out from when they were on that temple, or the whatever it was. So
Yeah,
you do
Tython, I think the planet was.
So
The Seeing Stone.
yes, the Seeing Stone. Thank you. So they're gonna do a thing of wherever Ezra is, just to show that he's actually alive.
Okay.
He's gonna hear Grogu's calling. So my prediction, that's my whole prediction. It doesn't really have to do with Boba,
Mm-hmm.
but that's my prediction for what I think is gonna go on with Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be really cool, seeing Sabine, hopefully Chopper, Ezra, Thrawn. Hopefully Thrawn's still alive. That would be
yeah.
awesome.
Well, I mean, Ahsoka was looking for Thrawn
Yeah.
to find Ezra. At least we're assuming.
Well, yeah. I mean, that makes sense if you watch the end of Rebels and
Yep.
how it goes away. Like, you don't know if either of them are dead or alive.
Spoilers.
But she does say, like, where is your boss?
Oh, yeah.
So
Where is your boss?
maybe that
Oh,
means
master.
Thrawn's
Where is your
master.
master?
So-
Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?
Maybe that means Thrawn's alive and
He's got to be.
or she knows that this person may know
Mm-hmm.
and is just assuming that he's alive so she can find Ezra.
I want to point out both of our predictions had nothing to do with Boba.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've thought about this for a while, and
Mhm.
my prediction for Boba, as you may remember from personal conversations, is Bosk is going to make an appearance in hopefully Embo, and it's
I would
going to
love
just
to
be
see
one
Embo.
one big bounty hunter show off.
Dude, that is a wet dream.
And to build off of one of the things you said with Luke, when he brings Grogu back,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to recognize Mando, and I'm sure he knows that Mando he's not the best, like in terms of character and stuff, but he's a good dude. Like
Oh yeah,
he shot up the Empire to take Grogu back.
yeah. His morals got the better of him.
He did,
in that
and they're
episode.
still somewhat
They
questionable.
do call the episode "The Sin."
Yeah. So I mean, because of who he is, his morals are still kind of questionable.
Yeah.
But I think Luke can recognize that this is overall a
Mhm.
better good person than bad.
Yeah.
And so when he sees everything that goes on with the Pikes, he's gonna stand with Mando
Oh yeah.
and Boba, which is gonna be weird seeing Luke and Boba on the same side.
Boba Fett. Where?
So I think that would be kind of cool just to see.
Yeah.
I mean, Boba was fighting for Jabba at the whole Sarlacc pit scene, so I think seeing them fight together would be really cool to watch because I'm sure they don't like each other.
Most likely not. But I feel like Luke probably has more of a forgiveness, being kind of like, I can't hold a grudge.
Exactly.
But and maybe like Boba doesn't really care that much about Luke as maybe more for Han.
Yeah, but I mean, seeing how Luke and Han were together,
That is true.
maybe he may still have some of that
It's
resentment.
weird. So before the introduction of Boba Fett, even in season 2 of Mando, I would fully agree with that. Yeah, no, he would see Han and Luke and try to kill him, no question. But the way they've at least portrayed him, not becoming soft, but to become more of a family-oriented, more forgiving kind of guy, I think he's still just as ruthless, but he's not. He's more. You apologize to me before I kill you. How about that? Like, I'll give you a chance to like kiss my boot. If you don't, all right, now you're dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can kiss my boot and I'll still
Swear
kill you,
fealty.
but- Yeah.
That
exactly.
seems to be more how he is, but that could also be with age.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, he probably had a lot of time to think.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
he had time. He was with the Tuscans for years.
Yeah. I mean, how long was he in the Sarlacc pit? Like,
He was in the Starlight. It seems like he got out relatively quickly because he was with the Tuscans for the remainder of Return of the Jedi, and then it seems
At
like
least,
a little
yeah.
after.
yeah. Well, because this is 5 years after the collapse of
Present
the
day
Empire.
is 5 years, I believe.
So, I mean, it was up until recently that you saw him walk up to Fennec.
that is true. That is very true.
So he had to have either been in the Sarlacc pit for a while, or he was in.
I think he
with
was
the
in
Tuscans
deep
for
with
a
the
while.
Tuscans for a while.
Or maybe a little bit of both.
I don't think he could have survived that long in the Sarlacc pit.
I
to
don't
be
either,
honest.
but didn't they say in what was it,
You
episode
s-
6 that he gets digested over like 1,000
Yeah.
years? So
slowly digested for 1,000 years.
I don't know how long that would take to actually kill him, especially with his armor.
Yeah, I want to know how that stormtrooper got down there. Was that one of the stormtroopers that was like, "Look, sir, droids"? Like in episode 4, searching for the droids when they landed on Tatooine, and he accidentally gets.
That's a good question.
He like stumbles upon the Sarlacc pit.
That's a good question. Like, out just thinking about it, I thought it was just from the fight scene, but there were no stormtroopers there.
Yeah, there were no.
It was
stormtroopers. So
Jabba.
He had to have been there for. I mean, who knows? Maybe it was moments before Jabba's barge went there.
It could have been after. Like, who knows if he
Oh,
got
yeah.
thrown in there after the collapse of the Empire, and everyone's just like, "I don't like you," and now your Death Star's gone.
Well, the collapse of
So,
the Empire happened well after his escape from the Sarlacc.
Yeah, true. Okay.
So it had to have been before. We just don't know how long. I mean,
Yeah.
his armor was getting pretty decomposed, but he had enough oxygen left over in there that Boba was able to use it.
And he did. I mean, his armor didn't look like it was in great shape to begin with.
No, he actually looked like he was becoming one with the Sarlacc walls.
Yeah.
Which I believe this is at least lore. I don't know if it's canon, but the Sarlacc takes its victims and it molds them with it. And so it absorbs its intelligence.
That's weird.
Yeah, so like...
Stormtroopers are idiots. Are you sure you want that intelligence?
No. But the Sarlacc's not that bright either.
No. I mean, he almost got Slave 1, which that was really cool to watch.
I liked seeing that. There's a lot of people who are like, it can pull down a ship, but not Lando.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Lando confirmed most powerful being, or heaviest being.
Well, maybe the Sarlacc, I'm guessing it doesn't have a gender.
No, I don't believe it reproduces.
So maybe the Sarlacc, it molded with some things that were intelligent, and it realized, oh, I can take Slave 1. I can eat ships.
Or maybe it's like pissed because it was still healing after Boba had, clawed his way out.
Yeah, I'm sure that didn't feel good.
It's like, I'm sick of things trying to get inside me and out.
I'm gonna get enraged. So what I just thought of is, like, you see Boba, like, going into the Sarlacc pit to look for his armor.
Yeah.
Why doesn't the Sarlacc try to eat him when he's in there? Why does it wait till he goes back on the ship? Like, that's a free meal.
Oh, are you referring to, like, when he first gets out? Why it doesn't try
So,
to
like,
take
when
him
he
back?
returns.
Oh, when he returned to the Sarlacc, he returned in the ship first. And
Yeah,
then he
but-
blew it up, and then that's when he got out, because he was like, oh, it's dead.
Right, okay, I mixed up the timeline.
Oh, yeah, no, so now it's dead, so now I'll go in.
Right,
Which was a
gotcha,
nice, they did a good touch that he was actually, like, they showed him burning from the acid.
Yeah, for the most part, Disney as a whole, even in other movies and stuff, has done a good job with their details. And I know they spend a lot of time making sure they actually have the things that they need before they start filming or animating.
I appreciate that they don't tone down, at least the shows for Star Wars so far. They've toned down the gruesome nature in the sequel trilogy, but... Which is weird because in The Rise of Skywalker, they did it... That looked like a gruesome death on Palpatine's part. He, like, tore his flesh, like...
Yeah,
ugh.
I'm sure that didn't feel good.
It was like Ark of the Covenant
He
stuff.
was not having a good time.
No. Which,
yeah.
when I saw that, I was like, okay, Disney, I see you. You tore off those mouse ears for this one.
Yeah, for real. No, that's a good point, though, bringing up the Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Like, watching that, like, whew, the first time I saw that, it kind of scarred me a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I remember the first time I watched it was in... I won't say the name, but our history class in 7th grade. I always was forced to skip that scene when I was younger. I wasn't allowed to watch it. I was allowed to watch the rest of the movie. I could see the opening where somebody gets impaled by spears, but I can't watch that. But honestly, looking back, I appreciate that because I would have been scarred a lot worse because I was years older when I finally saw that.
Yeah, it took me up until maybe a few years ago before I could actually watch it and not, like, feel like the not that I was, like, scared, but I still, like, remembered watching that, and it had that uneasy feeling because I remembered just like, ugh, that's...
You know what else in Indiana Jones gave me that? It was in Temple of Doom, watching just Indy's chest getting grabbed by the witch doctor guy. Like, you see him gripping it so hard and tugging that, like, I felt it. I was like, oh, he's gonna rip out his heart. Like, you know it's not gonna happen to the hero, but they just sell it.
Yeah, they do. And even though you know it's not gonna happen looking back on it, in the moment, like, especially back then, you don't know what they're gonna do. Because I don't think did they have plans for a third movie at that point?
At that point, I really don't know. I feel like George Lucas always in his plan has like 3
trilogy?
movies. Yeah, a trilogy. He's like, all right, it's always gonna be a trilogy.
So let's just say, for the sake of arguing, that at the time they didn't have a plan for a third movie. At that moment, he's got his hand on his chest. He's about to rip out his heart. You don't know that they're not gonna do that. Like, that's the great thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even watching things in like the most recent trilogy in Star Wars, which I wish I didn't see. But there are moments when you don't know what they're gonna do because you don't know what's gonna happen next in the next movie. So whatever they're selling to you at that point is very real because you don't know what the plan is.
And Harrison Ford, his acting sells it because he looks terrified. So like the fact that he is like, oh crap, I'm gonna die, that also drives it home.
Yeah, he does a great. Indiana Jones is one of my favorite things to watch. I love it so much.
In my top 10 movies of all time is The Last Crusade. That's my favorite Indiana Jones movie.
Really?
Yep. The third one's my favorite.
I go 1, 3, 2.
It was 1, 3, 2 for me as well for a long time. And speaking of Indiana Jones, controversial opinion. Other than like 3 scenes, I think Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is not a bad movie.
It's not. It's funny.
The whole Shia swinging from the vines, that's silly. The nuke and then in the fridge, that's silly.
Yeah, the fridge gets me because that's he would've-
No.
No.
But is that funny? Absolutely.
Yes. And I get it. It's a movie, so you can get away with that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there are worse things
That
that
would be
they could have
indie
done.
luck too, right?
Yeah, but I mean, there were reports of like kids playing hide and seek and going into fridges that they just find in the woods, and that's the reason why they have the magnetic locks now, so you can push it from the inside.
Yep.
Because kids would get stuck in there and they would die.
Jeez, I actually did not know that.
Yeah, so that's wild, man. It's kind of sad if you think about it. Like kids playing hide and seek, and then they just get stuck in a fridge and they can't get out.
It's like those people who recently died by eating salad. Imagine dying by eating salad.
That's why you never eat healthy.
Amen.
Bacon all the way.
Bacon.
You know bacon's gonna kill you, so you can't be disappointed.
And you know what though? It will love you the whole time.
It will.
Salad, it goes, yeah, that's right. No one likes me. You know what eats me? Rodents. You're a rodent. Now die like one.
Take that, vegans.
Yes, we're a meat-eating podcast.
Vegans are rodents.
Oh my goodness, you're actually right. Because they hate authority. Which there's a time and place for authority and respecting it.
Yes,
I'm not saying blindly follow, but they hate everything.
Well, I mean, no one
Good.
likes them
They
anyway,
hate
so.
everything good. Yeah. Amen.
So back to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So I actually learned some of this through Ancient Aliens, which, as you know, is one of my favorite
Guilty pleasures.
guilty pleasures, but not because I enjoy it, but because it
Well,
drives me up the
isn't
wall.
that what a guilty pleasure is?
I thought a guilty pleasure was more like a thing that you're ashamed of, like actually enjoying.
Oh, okay. I think it could be both.
So like something that you like wouldn't truly admit that you enjoy, because like I enjoy Ancient Aliens because of how irritated I get because of how stupid they are.
Just
like,
rip the scab off
There is not a city on the moon.
No, there is not.
There is not an alien
You
city
can't prove
on the
it, Zach.
dark side of the moon. You're stupid.
I don't know. Pink Floyd might say otherwise.
So, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is based on some Native American lore,
Mm-hmm.
where there are these.
Wasn't it specifically the Mayans
I don't remember, but they
or
touch
Aztec or something?
some Indian thing, and they touch on it in Ancient Aliens, where those skulls exist, and there's I think 13 of them spread throughout the world over time, and they're supposed to do exactly what they say in Indiana Jones, where like you're supposed to get all this information and technology and otherworldly stuff. And that's all Native American lore,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know that, so I thought it was just stupid, like cool skulls.
Death by knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. Until I saw an episode of Ancient Aliens and they talked about that, and I went, wait, what? So I Googled it, and it's spot on. The way the movie and that episode pan out.
Now, how did the villainess die?
She
I remember her gaining all the knowledge and being like, "Oh my god, so much knowledge."
I don't remember if like they just like absorbed her, but she gets to the knowledge and it kills her. It's too much for her simple human brain.
All right, so that's how I remember it. I didn't know if I'm
Yeah.
misremembering. I've only seen the movie twice.
Yeah. So another guilty pleasure movie National Treasure. 1 and 2.
Oh.
1 and 2.
What? Yo, I'm with you.
Everyone knows about 1, but I don't think people talk about 2 enough because it's a bad movie. It is very bad.
And the production of it is high too.
Yeah.
Like high.
But I love the whole movie. Again, Native American things. And it's like, it's a bad movie. I quote it all the time with, "Hey, where are my detainees?" Or like,
Haggis.
Yeah, that's the other one. I'll just look at you and I'll just yell haggis.
What's the line? Blah 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 blah. And whiskey.
Yeah, like something about, "Have you been drinking tonight or today?" And he's, "Oh, you know, just a wee bit." And then he just goes on and on and on. "Whiskey?" Just clearly mocking them in Buckingham Palace, which is hysterical.
Oh my god. You know, now that just brings me to Nick Cage's acting. Just like, have you noticed, like, this is how he acts in National Treasure. I'm gonna steal the Declaration of Independence.
I mean,
Now, if you paid attention to that, my lips barely moved there.
yeah, no,
he mumbles.
he does mumble, but in his defense, he is out in the open by the Lincoln Memorial. That's not something you'd probably want to yell.
Oh, no. But he does it, like, throughout a lot of his movies.
No, he
That's
does.
a Nick Cage touch.
Yeah. I don't like his acting in National Treasure. I think he shows no emotion at all. Like, you find the treasure of all treasures, and you can't even smile. Excuse me.
He
It-
might
it's just-
be...
Oh, crap,
excuse me.
you're gonna make me do that now.
Yeah. He might be going for the whole, like, this is such amazing, like, awe-inspiring wonder that I don't know how to react right now.
I get that, but everyone else is reacting with a lot of elation, so he looks out of place.
Riley's reaction in the first movie when they first find the treasure.
"A mysterious blue man. I'm guessing that's significant." He just gives him a big old hug.
And then it just moves. It's like, I don't think it would be that light. But the one I'm referring to is when he goes, "Look,
Stairs. Like, all he wanted to do the entire time was get out.
And to be honest,
I don't blame him.
I think I might react the same way. I might be like, screw all this treasure. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, no, exactly. Especially because they know that they sent off Ian on a wild goose chase because they know that there's nothing there.
Mhm.
So eventually they're going to come back. So they have to find a way out. So if there's no stairs, they're going to die. Like, Ian's going to kill them. So stop yawning. You're going to make me yawn.
It's because I haven't had my coffee today.
You didn't make some when we got here?
I was going to, and then I got too excited to record.
You know what? That's fair. So, you know, just his acting as a whole, it really threw me off. But can we talk about Willy's Wonderland for a second?
Oh my god, that movie, thank you.
Like, I've watched it a couple times now, and I enjoy it more and more each time. And he doesn't say a word. So, to anyone that, if they ever listen to this, if you haven't watched Willy's Wonderland, it stars Nick Cage. But the whole shtick is that he doesn't say a word.
Nope.
He makes sounds and noises, but he doesn't say a word. And it is a great movie.
It's supposed to be like a riff off of Five Nights at Freddy's, which
Yeah.
is like a Chuck E. Cheese-esque kids establishment that the animatronics basically get possessed by dead murderers and horrible people, and the townsfolk make sacrifices there, and Nick Cage was supposed to be one of them.
And he
just drinks energy soda and plays pinball.
I watched it the other day with Jess. And why is there a pinball machine in the kitchen?
Do they ever show him? They show him unraveling it.
He's already in the kitchen.
Okay, I didn't know if he moved it
What
there.
is a pinball machine doing in a what was supposed to be a working kitchen?
Maybe that's just a distraction somehow. I don't know. Like for
And-
the employees.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, it is a shutdown place, so maybe things just got moved around.
That could be it.
Could be as simple as that.
Yeah. So if it's a shutdown place, why is all the water working?
Well,
It should be
because
shut down.
they keep hiring people, quote unquote, hiring people to pay off their debt to work there. So I guess they have to keep it functioning.
True.
Because they keep saying, "Hey, we're gonna reopen, so clean the place up."
Also,
So to make it more believable, they do that.
I have one of my big gripes with the movie, and it's just because I know how long cleaning takes. There's no way he could have made it look that spotless that many times in one night.
Well, he's a silent type, so maybe that's his strength.
Yeah, but he had to deal with that little teenage girl
Oh my god.
who her voice is so obnoxiously annoying.
Yes.
I like her character,
Yeah.
but can she get a voice change, please?
Yeah, I agree.
Please?
It was, if I remember correctly, it was a nasally, nerdy voice. Like,
Yeah.
it didn't fit her appearance at
No,
all.
because she looked like Latina or Hispanic or something.
Yeah, so I'm sorry to whoever you are, actress, but your voice does not match your
No,
look.
it
Your
doesn't
look,
at all.
unless you were purposefully doing that.
So I was going to bring that up, and I was going to use Bernadette from
Oh
The Big Bang
yeah,
Theory as an example.
I
'Cause
remember. I was blown away.
so in her first few appearances, that's not her
Yes, I
actual
remember
voice.
that.
But then I don't know if they pulled her aside and said, this is
Or she
your
just thought
thing,
of
or if she
it.
just thought of it. But I forgot that wasn't her real voice. So when I saw an interview from like the cast of the Big Bang Theory, and she used her normal voice, and I was floored. I was like, wait a minute.
I had the
You
exact same
don't
reaction.
sound like a balloon? What?
I think a balloon might have been less ear taxing.
I don't know, man. If you deflate a balloon and watch it fly around the room, or listen to Bernadette talk,
She
it
was
might be the same.
She was the white female Urkel.
Oh, what a show! That and the nanny. Those are the oldest shows.
The nanny.
Yeah, her voice too.
Oh,
Her, yeah, that was.
have
that
you
was,
ever?
oof.
Speaking of nanny, have you ever seen Super Nanny?
I've seen commercials and like snippets, but most of the Super Nanny that I've seen is that episode of South Park.
They summarize it very well.
They do.
That's all you need to see.
That episode cracks me up too. You know, using Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer, to calm a child.
Oh God.
Just tapping on the neck.
What do you think you're doing? Until he finally subsides.
Like that, it's such a nice touch. They do such a good job.
Does he sleep with his mom? Because I feel like everybody sleeps with Cartman's mom.
No, Cartman's mom thinks that like there's like a connection, and Caesar Milan's like, "All right, my job's done. Peace, bitch." So you know, it's they kind of throw you off with that because normally everyone sleeps with her,
Yep.
and they do like the normal checkup as they do in the show, where it's like, "How's Cartman doing? It's been like 6 months," and she thinks that they're like friends now. He's like, I'm gonna head out. So it's a curveball, definitely.
Sorry, I keep yawning and making you yawn. I don't even know why, because I don't even feel tired. I think it's just the lack of caffeine in my body's used to a certain amount.
So for me, it's the fact that you keep yawning, and the food coma from breakfast.
Oh, yeah, it's just hitting you now.
But it's been hitting me all morning. It hasn't stopped.
Oh, man. I am excited for those leftovers. Got that Irish skillet and blueberry pancake.
I wish I got that. I wish I didn't get the bacon cheeseburger
See,
omelet.
that sounded so good. So, did it taste like an actual cheeseburger in there, or was it kind of just like ground beef and then there was cheese?
So it was ground beef with cheese and bacon. And
Okay, so
wrapped
they
in
should have
egg.
used some like, I don't know, like
So essentially, picture a pizza, but
Cuban or something.
instead of like a crust and sauce, it was just wrapped in an egg.
dude, imagine if they added like a bulky roll like into it. They just like chopped that up, broke it apart, and then had that throughout.
They should have added more cheese.
Honestly, just make a burger, put it together, and then just chop it all up, and then put it in between in the omelet. That would be perfect, actually.
Yeah. Season it the way you want. Throw the cheese in there. My favorite burger is when you put the cheese in the middle of the patty. Like on the inside.
That is genius. I've never done that.
So it has an. I'm gonna look it up real quick. It has a name. I think it's called a Juicy Lucy.
A Juicy Lucy?
Yeah.
Good thing I don't know many people named Lucy, because then
Yeah.
that might mess with my psyche.
So I saw it on an episode of, it may have been like Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives with
Okay.
Guy Fieri.
Yeah. Actually, you said it wrong. It's Fieri.
Guy Fieri. So yeah, all right, here it is. A Juicy Lucy, or Juicy Lucy, just one spelt with the I and one's not, is a stuffed burger with cheese inside the meat instead of on top, resulting in a melted core of cheese. There are 2 bars in Minnesota claiming to be the inventor of the burger, while other bars and restaurants have created their own interpretations of the style. So, no one really knows. Like, I feel like that's kind of a thing that, like, some poor kid in, like, the 1950s
Oh,
during the
no.
Depression, like, you should put it inside and see what happens. Like, you're just melting cheese, but instead of on top, it's on the inside. It's not this groundbreaking decision.
That's like stoner brain when people like think of combining chocolate milk with
Yeah.
your cereal.
It was man versus food.
Oh.
So that fatty, what's his name? Adam Richman. Man vs. Food was a good show. But, yeah. The Juicy Lucy is one of my favorite burgers because it goes on the inside. It makes it better.
Ooh, put some spicy mayo on that.
Yeah, Chipotle.
So, speaking of spicy mayo, a lot of people don't like
Or sriracha, not Chipotle.
mayo on their burgers. Why?
I don't know. Putting strictly mayo and nothing else, I can understand.
Oh, yeah.
Because warm mayo is disgusting.
Yes.
But if you have like ketchup, relish, mustard, onions,
Barbecue.
barbecue sauce, onions, tomato, lettuce, it all melds together. And it tastes amazing.
Yeah, having all of that is like the Book of Boba Fett adding the 2 episodes with Mando and Grogu. But if you have just mayo, you have episode 3.
Actually, yeah. The people who don't like mayo on their burger probably also like ketchup on their eggs.
So I actually did that a lot as a kid, but I attribute that to the fact that I didn't like the taste of eggs, and I kept searching for something to help with it.
Well,
But like your typical bland white household, we had barely any spices and sauces to help add flavor to anything, and the only way we ever had eggs was scrambled.
Well, it took you a while to actually enjoy eggs too, didn't it?
Oh yeah, it took me actually growing the cojones to try a broken yolk. A runny yolk. Like, oh my god, that is the best thing.
So you
Having
gotta
a
give
runny
that a little
yolk
bit of
on
a
your
pass
burger?
then. Oh, dude.
Oh.
Throwing like a chicken patty in an egg onto a burger.
Oh, so what I do a lot whenever we have a bunch of leftovers and I've got a day off or I don't work till 10, I will just grab all of the leftovers and I'll put it in a frying pan on my oven and then I'll crack a couple eggs over them and then I'll just mix it all together and then I put it in the tin root beer cups we would get from the Sterling Fair and then just eat it out of that.
That is a great use of those. I never thought about.
So like, cause those things are a nice, good tin, so you just warm that up a little too.
Yeah.
And then it keeps it nice and warm.
Honestly, yeah, I never thought of using those. I can't wait for the Sterling Fair to come back.
Yeah, it's
I've
been
missed
canceled.
it
The last
years.
2 or 3 years?
I think just the last 2. If it happens this year, it'll be 3. I really wanted to take Jess last year because she'd never been. But obviously it got canceled. So I'm hoping this year because I want to get another tin. I threw one in the wash and it got all like rusted.
Yeah, because those are not supposed to go in.
No, that's how I found out, and I don't know what happened to the other one. I put it somewhere. I know I have it. I just can't find it.
I still have 2 of mine.
Yeah.
My favorite one is the one that actually shows the mountaineer going like,
Yeah.
I got root beer.
Wachusett Mountaineers represent, baby.
Amen.
So I can't wait for that. I hope it comes back.
It's funny because you'll go to the same thing, and in hindsight, it's the same old thing every year. It's overpriced.
It's overpriced.
Scammed games.
Yep.
Rides that are almost fun. They're like, it's like going, So like right as they're about to get good, they end.
Yeah. The only one that I actually like continuously enjoy is the Air Force One.
Oh, yeah. Air Force One is a classic.
And then the Orbiter, which is just a Walmart version of Air Force One. And the bobsled. That's the one where you go this way, and then you go the other way.
Which is the one where you lay down and you're almost like gliding, but you're actually attached.
I don't remember the name of it. It looks like a lot of fun, but it doesn't go fast enough.
So I went on one of those, but it was at the Whitney Field Mall Plaza. Megan and I were shopping for clothes for her, and then we hear noise, and we're like, "What's going on?" And then we're like, "Wait, there's a fair going on right now?" And it was literally just in the parking lot. They had Ferris wheels. They had
Huh?
everything. It
How
was
about that?
it was like the Sterling Fair, like.
Well, I
But
mean, I know that fair just rotates all over the place, so it easily could have been.
yeah, so I was like, "Oh, cool." So we went there, and it was like a third of the price because it's people from Fitchburg and Leominster. If you're
Yeah.
living there, I'm not crapping on you. I'm just saying I feel you. You can only afford for $5 to buy 10 tickets.
Well, that's the other thing. The ticket prices
They
at the
skyrocket.
yeah, and that's how you pay for the ride instead of like, all right, it's like $2. It's like, all right, it's 7 tickets.
But I
Ooh.
paid $10 for one ticket.
Yeah, it's like obviously that's a little exaggerated.
Yeah,
but
you get like 3 tickets.
I get excited to go every year, and it's always underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's my main issue with it. But the experience of just kind of being there, it's like, okay.
not every town has a town fair.
Nope. And
So-
you get people from all around the district.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is growing up, since we're actually from Sterling,
Mm-hmm.
the Sterling Fair is like, hey, it's the Sterling Fair.
Yes.
So it kind of has that weird mystique to it, even though it's not that fabulous.
I got my first cap guns from the Sterling Fair.
My
That was
best
a controversial purchase from my parents.
memory.
Because they're like,
Not
guns,
surprised.
no. And I'm like, but they're fake.
Yeah, but it incites violence.
No. You know what? Suppressing things incites violence.
No, buying fake guns does. Stupid.
You suppress it until it all boils over, and then
Exactly. And then you find Daddy's AK and you go somewhere.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Somewhere where you get educated.
Yeah. So my favorite memory from the Sterling Fair, I was in freshman year, might have been freshman year of high school, so I was 14, 15. I went by myself and I walked down John D Road, which, as you know, is very, very unlit.
Yeah, it's
And
a long, steep,
it's a long
straight,
yeah, a
narrow
long stretch.
road.
It
when
shouldn't
there's
be. It
houses.
shouldn't be 2 lanes, but it is one each way. It should be a one-way road.
And the highway goes over it at one point.
Yeah. And so I walked down that by myself. I was like 14. I didn't bring like a light or something with me. I had my phone. So I'm using my phone to light the way, and it didn't work. Obviously, I made it because I'm still alive. Woohoo! But my favorite memory was there was a dunk tank, and I bought maybe like $5 for free throws or whatever. So I buy the 3 throws and I throw and I clipped the button, but it wasn't enough to press it. And then the other 2, because the balls were wet from the dunk tank, I missed. So Jake Broussard was there, and he was giving me crap for it. So I came back an hour later, and there was a new person sitting on the dunk tank, and this poor girl had no idea. Like, I was out for revenge because of what Jake said
She
to
had
me.
no idea that you're a pre-adolescent.
I was out for blood. So I bought 12 throws, and I sunk the first 3. So my first one, boom, she goes down. She gets back up. Boom, she goes down. She gets back up. Boom, she goes down again.
You showed him.
So she just, like, she literally yells at me. She's like, "Who is this kid?" And, like, that was great. It was music to my ears. So
Helped your fragile ego.
yeah,
at the
so
time.
I wanted redemption for myself because I missed horribly my first go around.
Redemption Rock Trail.
If anyone knows, or if anyone wants to know, that's the street I live on.
Stalk him.
Stalk me, please. Make me famous.
Chicken stalk him.
So
Oompa soup.
it was really nice. I think I ended up hitting 2
That's
more.
a fond memory.
It was a very fond memory for me of the Sterling Fair in particular. It was one of the highlights of my time there.
That, in fact, that's a story of redemption. This is your coming of age story.
I am both.
you you went through ridicule
I did.
and you overcame that
I did.
ridicule. You let that anger and frustration get the better of you, and you won.
I am a Sith.
am the Senate. I am the dunker. Do it, Mountain, do it.
And then obviously the other great memory I have is spitting my gum out on the ride and hitting the baby.
Oh yeah, you're very proud of that one.
Because it was a
You were
complete
on the
accident.
Ferris wheel, right?
No, I don't remember the name of the ride, so I'll describe it because So the ride is one of those where it's got the front row and the back row, but that's it, and it's kind of like the pirate ship
like
where
the
it
seesaw
rocks,
thing. Yeah.
but it goes up and then it swings down and then it goes around and then it stops and it goes around the other way, and it's not like this great ride, but I was in the back row and I was chewing my gum, 15, 16. So I don't think about other people. And
at least you're honest.
my gum lost its flavor and I was sitting on the edge. So I decided, all right, if I just look to the right, I can just aim it over and it'll go down and it'll land in the grass. So right as I made that decision, we were at the peak and it started to go down. So as it started to go down, I spit my gum out. But because we were going down, I could watch my gum fall. And I was bored of the ride. It wasn't that spectacular. So I spit my gum out and I'm watching it fall. And right in the middle of the forehead, I hit this baby in a stroller.
Oh my god.
And it starts crying because, it's a baby and it just got hit.
That's music right there. That
Like-
that would send me over. I'd be like, oh god.
I
That
couldn't-
made this like the most memorable moment.
I couldn't believe that I actually, first
Dead
of all,
center.
dead center, domed this baby in a stroller. Like, what are the odds? And it was a complete accident, too. So I almost fell over as soon as I got off the ride because I was laughing so hard at just the sheer chances of doming a baby with a piece of chewed gum.
I could just see the mother.
Who the hell did that?
Well, she wasn't looking, so she heard the baby crying, and of course it bounces off of him. So she doesn't see it.
Stuck.
Oh no, it bounces off.
Oh,
So
okay. If
you
it
just
stuck,
kinda,
that would just be the nail in the coffin on that one.
I wish it stuck, but I don't know, maybe too much saliva, so it just boing. But it was great, and no one else saw.
Oh.
So I hightailed it out of there just in case. But that was really funny, just watching this baby get stuck and then kind of shake like a bobblehead, like, what just hit me? I was like, I'm out, peace. I'm not getting my butt torn up by some angry mom. Yeah, that was...
No, don't mess with a mama bear.
No, never mess with Mama Bear. That was one of my highlights.
I don't have any particular highlights from Sterling Fair, really.
Well, you usually went to New York anyway.
Yeah, around that time I would usually visit family because that's when we would actually get some time off, like that one extra day. I would go to New York, visit the family, but the couple times I would be able to go to the Sterling Fair, the only memorable things that would happen is like seeing a couple people that I went to elementary and middle school with to briefly say hello, goodbye, and that's about it. Just a brief reconnection.
Yep.
I don't think anything memorable's happened. Oh, I had a kid say I wore a Destiny shirt. He thought it was cool and asked for my Xbox gamer tag.
Did you give it to him?
No.
Aww.
Well, I told it to him. He's like, all right, I'll remember. So it wasn't like I wrote it down.
All right, but we all need to know. Did he remember?
I never got a friend request, so I'm going to assume no.
Boo! If you're out there, boo you!
It's thanks, Mom.
With an X.
At thanks, Mom. Capital T, lowercase, everything else.
Well,
H-A-A-A-A-A-N-X.
I'm gonna pop a question to you.
Ooh.
Not the question.
I popped the question recently.
Yes, you did. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Again. If this actually takes off, we're gonna need social media stuff. So, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook for all the moms.
Instagram.
What was it?
You follow my brother
That's
on
right.
Instagram.
It's the enunciation of the
Muh.
It gets me every time.
It's like a very unfortunate kiss that you are not looking for, and then someone just goes, Muh.
Well, as Steve did that to you twice.
I wouldn't say unfortunate, though.
It
It was unexpected.
Very unexpected. That was...
Just not unfortunate.
So, Steve has been kissed by two guys?
Two of my friends, yes.
Two of his friends, neither of which he initiated, nor did he ask for.
And both were at parties. One was a New Year's.
They were both New Year's, wasn't it?
Did Estes ever host a New Year's?
I thought Estes was a New Year's. I know it was a party of some
It was
kind.
if it wasn't New Year's, it was like a birthday or something.
It might have been.
He used to also host parties just for the hell of it.
So this kid Estes, he is my neighbor. We call him Estes, but his name is Jake. And he was just so secure with his masculinity that he decided to just give Steve a big old fat one right on the lips.
Yep, and then because he was so secure, he did it again.
To show everyone that he was secure.
Yep, verbatim. I'm so secure with my sexuality, I'll kiss Steve again. And I am walking down the stairs when this happened, holding a drink in my hand, and I'm just like, well, that happened.
I said masculinity, not sexuality, didn't I?
Oh, maybe it was masculine.
No, it was sexuality.
It was? Okay, either one works, honestly. They're both typical male insecurity.
But then because everyone was like, no, you didn't, he's like, I'll do it again.
Yep.
And he did it again.
It's okay. Everybody's convinced that you and I have kissed.
And we haven't.
We haven't. Not yet.
Like, on the cheeks. We've done on the cheeks.
Yeah, like as like the typical we're in front of the other one's girlfriend time to jokingly make them jealous. Mwah. Mwah. A lot of the times it'll be the European style where you don't actually make contact, you just go from side to side.
Yeah. But apparently that means that we've like throated each other.
Yeah.
You know, for whatever reason. I don't get it.
Listen, we of all people will admit it. And the most,
I know where this is going.
I'm trying to think of a PC way of saying this. I can't, without just going, the gayest thing we've done. You know what, screw it. To how we felt, the gayest act we have performed on one another. I'm overselling this.
You are.
Is we lifted up our shirts and looked at each other with like our tongues stuck out, like going like making that noise with our tongue, kind of like crazy Guggenheim. That's an old cut for you old folks out there. And we just slowly walk towards each other and then make our bellies touch. And then after that, we put our shirts down and we both looked at each other like we
ooh.
just like. We both did the walk of shame away from each other.
Yeah, that was...
It just felt so weird.
It did. And we swore to never speak of it, and yet we continuously speak
Yes.
of it.
Well, we were ashamed.
Yeah.
It was some deep,
insecure
shame.
That was that top 3 weird moment for me.
Yeah. And yet, I feel like if we actually, like, made full lip contact...
It would not have felt nearly as strange.
Yeah, that was
belly
weird.
bumping.
It belly bump. Well, it was weird because I think it was like your belly. From what I remember, it didn't feel hot. It didn't feel cold. It was an uncomfortable, like, not clammy because it wasn't wet, but like the temperature from like clammy hands. That's what your belly felt on mine, and I'm sure it was probably a mutual feeling. And we are not hairy people, so it was just full
skin on skin.
Skin on skin, like...
I don't know, I mean, I got some hair now.
Yeah, now.
A lot more than what it was back then.
I'm about to rip one. It was very silent.
It's me smacking my belly.
Holding that proud beer belly.
Yeah, I got a beer belly. It's kind of sad.
It's like... It would have been Taco Bell, and then you became 21, and now it's...
Now it's mainly beer with a side of Taco
Yes.
Bell. Yeah.
You miss my belly. It's made a comeback, though. I have it again.
So, what I like to do with is... He has like this small ring.
I've got a line going across the center of my stomach from like sitting, because like I've got like no fat on my upper chest and abs until
he like sits or it just
goes
to the
just
ring
all
and it
sinks
there.
on my belly where my belly button is.
So I like to play with it, and that's still not like the gayest thing.
No.
Like I'll just sit there. We'll be at work, and he'll just like lift his shirt up, and I'll just start like fingering his belly fat.
Oh God.
Which I guess that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's how we felt after episode 3 of the Book of Boba Fett. We felt a little wrong.
But that feels so right.
The belly fingering.
The belly fingering feels right. The belly bumping felt.
It's more
wrong.
like flicking than fingering.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, I don't know. Like you've made it talk before, so sometimes just put it in the belly
drawn
mouth.
eyes and then dimples.
You did.
Because it has its own mouth, so I just needed to add that.
Yeah, you did. So I'd say like how I felt after the belly bumping is how I felt after the 3rd episode of Boba.
So I think it's redeemable from the few good scenes we got. But I say that, but yet it's the only episode I haven't rewatched. Now, how do you feel? Like, would you ever rewatch it?
If they find a way to tie it in, so basically do more with the Rancor to tie it in.
Yeah.
Because they've started to
That
tie in the
can
mods.
be, what did they call it? To ride in on?
The Mythosaur?
No, like, excuse me. What the, huts would... Not menagerie,
Oh, I know what you're talking
basically
about.
like your squad. But it had, like, kind of a demeaning name to it.
Well, yeah, because they're supposed to be like these higher ups and royals and whatnot.
Yeah.
You'll see that in Avatar too. Like some of the higher ups and royals, like they get carried around on.
Yeah.
On the thing. So whenever you get.
I'm used to seeing that from Cleopatra.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of royals have done that over the years. But my biggest thing with that whole episode, besides the mods, which I still very iffy on, and that's a major improvement to when I first saw them, is I like the introduction of Danny Trejo. I thought that was really funny.
I'm glad that Machete is finally in the Star Wars universe.
I was kind of shocked that it took that long for him to be in
Right?
it. But I like the idea of how they portray the Rancor. Like, it's not just a monster. It has feelings.
Yeah, it's like a puppy.
Everything has feelings.
Well, it's the Star Wars pit bull.
It is.
Treat it wrong, it will be wrong.
Exactly.
Or do wrong.
And they spent that whole scene hinting at, okay,
I want to ride it.
it's gonna see you, that
Like
it's
a
gonna think that you are like it's Papa or whatever. It's gonna grow really fond of you as long as you make it that way. And out of nowhere, he's like, I want to ride it. Wait, what? That what does that have to do with hiring muscle and where are you gonna ride it? Like if you parade that thing down the streets of any city on Tatooine, they're gonna shoot it down.
Yeah. Well, then who would though?
The town, I'm sure, like they'd get together. And be
I
like,
feel like their initial reaction might be kind of like,
you know what? They wouldn't shoot it down, but it would be like they would feel about the Rancor how when we were all kids we felt about the Bermuda Triangle. Like this is a problem.
Yup.
When I get older, we are going to solve this, and I am going to be a hero. Like they have to. I'm sure they would get together. Like he has a Rancor, dude. We got to figure out how to stop this thing. It's eating people as he walks through the markets. This can't happen. We got to get together. But then they actually get to the fortress door, and they're like, "Uh-oh." I'm a little sick, guys.
Until things got real.
Exactly. Because, I mean, you're not just messing with the Rancor. You're messing with Boba, and Boba will mess you
Oh, yes.
up. He is
That
a
is
bad
still
dude.
evident when they actually show him in his full gear and when he's kind of on that vengeful mindset, they portray his ruthlessness perfectly.
So I think they could have shown that better. At just like
They
how
needed to show
awesome
that
he is.
more.
Yeah, there's more and better.
Like, yes, he needed to heal in the Bacta tank. We get it. But look at him in Season 2. He still needed to be in the Bacta tank to heal. But he was unleashed. He was unhinged, dude.
Yep. No, he was a man on a mission.
Yep. And he should be on even more of a mission now. He's trying to be a crime boss. So, like, if you look at the Corleones In The Godfather, like you see him, he walks the streets, goes through the stands and shakes the hands, takes an apple, rubs it on his coat, takes a bite. Hey, he's making an appearance. Here he's
Exactly.
walking around with a helmet. People are questioning him. That makes sense because he's building it up, but he's still got his like entourage.
Yep.
So it's like, all right, he's got to, I don't know, show a little more oomph because when people challenge him, like the Corleones, when they get challenged, it's an all-out shootout, and then like
Well, so that's the thing.
they
Right
make a
now,
statement.
up until he got Mando, he didn't really have enough to initiate the shootout.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, having Mando is like having a bunch of muscle.
Yes. So like I guess I'm doing a poor job showing off my point is that since he didn't have that, they should have had him show more.
They should have emphasized more of that.
So it's like
for him.
yes. So since he's supposed to be the boss, he's not supposed to do that as much, but he's not at that stage of being a boss yet.
Right.
So it's like you show the journey like in Godfather 2
right.
of those flashbacks showing him getting from nothing to being the biggest. So it's like, all right, show him doing that.
That's where I think they could have done a better job
He
of showing.
got
like,
banged around too much.
Yeah, they kind of show him as like, well, you see what he does in Mando in season 2 and how he just annihilates those stormtroopers.
Yeah, granted they're just stormtroopers, but he took out basically an entire
With a
small
stick.
battalion.
With a stick.
Yep, and then shot down one ship, taking out the other with one missile.
Yeah. So I think that's what we were all expecting.
Yeah.
And I understand, why we need that. Like that's what we all know Boba to be.
Mm-hmm.
But he has to set up being a crime boss.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to see it as much as we all
Yeah.
wanted to. But in the opportunities that they could have done it,
Yes.
they did a very poor job of actually portraying
which
how
comes
awesome he is.
ultimately down to what I think the two biggest flaws of the show. It's just its pacing being its number one issue, and then the second is underutilization.
Yeah. I'm very excited because of how the last 2 episodes have gone for
Oh my gosh.
for the last episode. But then I saw it was directed by James Rodriguez, who did episode 3. And that's my biggest fear.
Is it James or Robert Rodriguez?
I thought it was James. Maybe it's Robert.
I
don't
thought
know.
his name was Robert. But Robert Rodriguez also did the...
He did the first episode.
I was going to say, he did the first, and he did the introductory episode of Boba in Mando Season 2.
Yeah. So, like, he's done some good jobs, but that 3rd episode was wretched.
I can see how that's
It
enough
was-
to kind of, like, shake.
It was wretched.
But now he's no longer introducing the mods, so maybe...
Right,
Even
but
if they use them, which if they don't use them, it doesn't make sense. It's
if
like,
they
why
use them,
bother
it's just for
even-
them to die.
Yeah.
They're just bantha fodder.
They're not going to die. Maybe, like, 3 of them.
None of, like...
All but the pale chick.
So the pale chick and Spy Kid. Spy Kid's gonna live, and the lady paler than me is gonna live. But I mean, the others they do nothing with.
No.
So
Other than go through a painting.
yeah. So if anything, they're gonna die off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like how they introduced
Mm-hmm.
the mods. It could have been so much better. That episode as a whole could have been so much better in every sense of the word.
Alright, so before we end this, I've just got 2 last things I just wanted to be able to touch upon because we're running at an hour and a half.
Oh crap! Okay.
So before we can go for a good, like, I'd say max out at 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I've just got 2 points I wanted to reach. So one, to end the talk on the Boba Fett. There was a line I want to get your feedback on. There is a line. All right, Cad Bane. Finally, oh my gosh, he's in. He's in live action Star Wars, dude.
Spoiler.
Yeah, right. Like as if this whole talk hasn't been full of them. So he says one line. Boba Fett is a cold-blooded killer who worked for the Empire.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong, but holy crap, that's not a throwaway line.
No, there's definitely some meaning behind it.
Every bounty hunter that exists that we know of has worked for the Empire, including Chrysanthemum and Fennec. Like, not including Boba. And if they introduce Bosk.
Yep. And that's what I'm I would love to see Bosk. But
So-
not to get off topic.
Like, do you have any insight or thoughts on that line? Because I to me that's powerful. Because like that adds to the question. Well, then what have you been doing, dude? If you haven't been working for the Empire,
So
is it that he hates the Republic so much? Because that's what the Republic turned into. He never once did a job for the Republic, at least in the Clone Wars. He always did jobs for the Hutts or a private contractor or the Separatists.
maybe because I'm sure he knows the transition from the clones to the stormtroopers.
Yes.
So maybe when the Empire actually established itself after Order 66, they just made it harder for him. Because you see that in Bad Batch, where everything just becomes a pain in the ass to get through,
Mm-hmm.
even the simplest things. So maybe he already has so much disdain for the Republic, he sees what they're doing now and you've got to be kidding me. I already don't like you guys, and now you're making it that much harder to do the simplest things. You can suck my toes. So that's my guess.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just the Crimson Dawn picked him up before.
I want to see if maybe in season 2 of Bad Batch they'll show him being hired by Maul and Crimson Dawn.
You could.
Because then that'll be a cool tie-in.
Well, is Maul dead by that point?
Maul doesn't die until Rebels. So Bad Batch is currently taking place immediately after Order 66.
Right, okay.
So Maul, yeah, he's still alive. He doesn't die for another, like, at least 5 years, I believe.
Okay.
At a minimum.
Yeah, right. So you see,
Actually, yeah, because I want to say Luke is a teenager when Maul dies.
so at
Or maybe close to it.
at the beginning of Bad Batch, you see, the heck is her name? Depa Bilaba?
Depa Balaba.
Balaba. Which is like, someone just threw like some silly putty down some stairs. That's the name.
That's the sound of it bouncing.
So that I like that. That's the name of a Jedi.
You got it.
Depa Bilaba.
All right. So yeah, that's all I want to know about that. And then the second thing, staying on the topic of Star Wars, the Kenobi show's coming out soon.
Hayden Christensen.
Hayden Christensen's return as Vader, and the charismatic, gorgeous Ewan McGregor returning as, hello there, Kenobi,
Everyone's
the negotiator.
Everyone's Jesus.
Everyone's heartthrob. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Nope.
So,
I will have his babies.
in an interview recently, he said the Kenobi trailer is going to blow everyone's mind. Now, that is going to be true regardless if he said it. But what that just unleashed within me was so much eagerness and excitement for it. And I wanted to know, do you think they're going to drop it, like, as soon as Boba Fett ends? Because I've kind of got a feeling that they might pull a No Way Home. And
Super
instead
Bowl
of
Sunday.
Oh, you are a genius. That's this Sunday, right? A week from today.
So Boba Fett ends in 3 days, and the Super
Okay.
Bowl is a week from today.
That makes perfect sense.
So-
they're gonna get all the eyes on it.
Exactly. What
And
better
it's big
what
enough.
better audience than on Super Bowl Sunday when most people don't watch for the game, that people that don't like sports at least, they'll watch for the commercials.
Let's be real. The premiere of the show is gonna be as big as the Super Bowl for Star Wars fans.
Yes, it's going to be like the Star Wars fan Super Bowl.
Yes.
Everyone loves Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh yeah.
So the fact that he's getting his own show
Mhm.
is going to be amazing.
Yeah, and like it'll answer a lot of questions. Of, oh, what did he do? Like, did he ever leave Tatooine?
So
That's gonna be great.
one of the things that I'm really hoping to see, and it's going to break my heart when it happens, if they do it, just because I've read like some of the things he's done on Tatooine, is he goes to Shmi's grave
Oh, I know what you're talking
and
about.
apologizes for letting
Yeah.
Anakin fall to the dark
Oh my
side.
god,
and
I'm gonna cry like a baby.
I want to see it
Mm.
because that's going to be very powerful.
What if they open with that?
Nah, I turned it off.
They just open with the soft footsteps in the sand, pans up to her grave, he kneels down, and then he's just the voiceover happens.
So I want to see that. That's the only thing I'll probably ask from the show. That like if they said what do you want to see, that would I don't care about anything else, but I want to see this. I'm going to be I'm gonna be a wreck when I see that.
Oh, they can do a lot with that scene. Not just the whole apologizing. Like, they can introduce the scene with showing him at the grave, and then even just dubbing over the audio of like Qui-Gon talking to Anakin, and then the whole progression of Obi-Wan scolding Anakin like from Attack of the Clones and stuff, and then
as if
Anakin
he's self-doubting.
I hate you.
Yep.
And then it cuts to her audio,
looking back at all the times where like maybe he's questioning himself or doubting himself as to how it happened.
Having Shmi's audio. Will you take him with you? Is he to become a Jedi? Oh
yeah.
I'm getting a little watery. Yeah, not gonna lie. So in terms of what I would love to see, so to be honest, I kind of forgot about that. So I would absolutely love that. But before you mentioned that, my number one thing to see, it's just so important. You have to show. You're raising your hand.
I am. I'm waiting for you to finish this
Oh,
way.
okay.
But I just want you to know I have more.
They need to show him interacting with Qui-Gon, his ghost.
Yep.
Showing him learning and to be able to be powerful enough in the Force and so one with the Force that he becomes a ghost. And this is the thing that I got excited about at the diner that I didn't think of until today. What if they show him leaving Tatooine, going to Dagobah, and we see live action Yoda for the first time, not including the sequels.
Not a puppet.
Forget the sequels, for the first time since Revenge of the Sith. And the two of them go on this journey with Ghost Qui-Gon to learn how to become those Force ghosts.
I have one comment to that.
Go ahead. Floor is yours.
So technically two. Okay, so the first one is, yes, I love you. I will have your babies. That is amazing.
Oh my god.
The second, Yoda's really strong with the Force. He has a very deep connection.
Yes.
That's why he hides in that spot in Dagobah, because it helps hide that.
Because also Dagobah is strong with the dark side of the Force.
So if he leaves there, he could potentially be found, because Vader hunts down the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my one concern. And maybe if they do that, that's how they introduce Hayden Christensen as Vader's. He finds them because they left Dagobah. And he senses Yoda's connection.
Oh, God.
Like, wouldn't that be something? Like, they're in this journey and all of a sudden it gets interrupted and you just hear...
Oh my God. That would be spine-chilling.
And they realize this is not part of whatever trial or mission they have to do.
God.
And they have to fight Vader.
Jeez. Because this will be full power Vader, too.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not the full power he would have been if he didn't become a cyborg, but...
I mean, he's still pretty damn strong.
Yeah. He's got to be.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Okay.
He's in constant pain. So, like, he's got to fight through all that? Oh, my God.
My other thing that I raised my hand for. It's not like a big thing, but I think it would be kind of cool if they did, like, side shots of it every now and then. Kind of like flashbacks. Although this wouldn't be a flashback because it would be current time for Obi-Wan. His interactions with the Tuscans.
Yeah.
Because you see that in A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
He scares the crap out of him.
Yep.
So
with a crate dragon imitation.
So obviously he knows enough to scare them off, but he's not going to learn that if he doesn't know who they are at first.
Exactly.
And I mean, his only interaction with them before was maybe at the pod racing, watching them try to shoot at Anakin.
Yeah.
But
I
I
don't
mean,
think he ever interacts with them like in the Clone Wars or anything either.
so I think actually showing those two, because I'm sure they have like a mutual respect for each other,
Mm-hmm.
to a degree, whether it's a good or bad respect,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
I
is yet to be
believe,
determined.
like in some comics and things, he helps defend the Lars from raids from the Tuscans.
So I think that, well, yeah, that makes sense because he's probably looking after Luke.
Yes,
I
that's the reason why he's on
yeah.
Tatooine.
So, why isn't anyone on Alderaan looking after Leia?
It's funny you bring that up. That was another thing I was wondering if maybe they might cut to scenes of just showing what was his name? Senator Bail
Bail
Organa.
Organa.
Thank you. Kind of just looking after her. I mean, I don't really know how much that could actually attribute, but they are creative people. They can find a way if they
I mean,
felt like it.
they'd probably have to make a reference to it because there's no way you can have an Obi-Wan show
Mm-hmm.
right after Anakin falls and you got a little baby Luke
Mm-hmm.
that you don't make a Luke reference.
Exactly.
They just tied in Luke to Mando and Boba.
Yeah.
There's no way you cannot tie him
What
in.
if like some Inquisitors find out before they report back to the Emperor and that they're showing assassination attempts after these children or kidnapping attempts after these children, so they have to be dealt with and destroyed. Unfortunately, like that's not the Jedi way, but like maybe Bail Organa, they show him having like a badass moment. And it's like an Inquisitor's about to steal Leia, and he goes, "Ka-choo!" Like has a tussle and kills him, like an Inquisitor or something, or like some sort of Imperial abductor, you know.
Hmm.
That would be crazy.
I'd be down for that. I'd be into that.
I kind of want to see more Bale, you know? Like,
Yeah.
didn't even think about it until now, but that would be dope. The actor's still alive. They can de-age him a little bit. I mean, he's not that old either.
I mean, even if you just get like a body double,
Yeah.
just do something like that's what they did for Luke the first time.
Yep.
In Mando.
Yep. And
So-
in the Book of Boba Fett, it's just a different body double.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think that would be pretty cool. Maybe you can show like little Leia growing up on Alderaan, so you can actually see Alderaan before it turns into a lot of space
The
rubble.
last time I've seen it was the Old Republic game.
I mean, I'm sure it looks a lot different.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty.
And it's not a meteorite that hits Leia in the head as she's riding through Endor, like in Family Guy.
Oh, no.
That's a great scene. So I'll describe it.
Oh, no.
Family Guy did a Star Wars. I almost said South Park. A Star Wars parody, and Lois plays Leia. And in the Endor,
Fitting.
what?
I said fitting.
Yeah. So in the Endor scene where they're being chased by the scout troopers, they're not riding on speeders. They're riding on bicycles.
Okay. Family Guy fashion, yeah.
And Leia is riding on the bicycle, and after the scene is over, she finally gets that closure of, what, I think I'm finally able to start moving on from Alderaan being destroyed. And then what they do is they show a flashback of Alderaan being destroyed, and it follows one meteorite. And as it burns through space and goes through the atmosphere, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until it turns into a pebble. And that pebble from Alderaan, all those years later, or all those months later, however long it was, hits Leia right on the head and it just knocks her out.
Oh. Is she able to... Does she recognize the pebble?
No, she's knocked out cold and then she gets found by the Ewoks. But in Family Guy fashion, it was very funny.
God.
As she gets knocked out by her home planet that was destroyed in front of her.
Oh my goodness. That's one of those touches that who is it? Seth MacFarlane? Is that who he is?
Mm-hmm.
Did he write that, or is he off the show at that point?
I don't think he's off the show.
Oh! I always thought he had left at one point.
I know it got canceled a few times.
Oh, maybe that's exactly what I'm thinking of. I'm not a
so
Family
he started
viewer.
Family Guy, and then he started American Dad, and then he started the Cleveland Show, which tanked. So he went back to just doing those two shows.
Okay, yeah, because I was gonna say that's like his perfect humor.
Yeah, no, it was very
it's taking
funny.
those little things that no one else would ever think of, like a freaking meteor turning into a pebble from her home planet that years later is gonna hit her. Like the irony there, it's great.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Oh my god. So I don't even remember how I got off on that tangent. I was talking about something else. And then
Oh, we were talking about nice to see Alderaan before it.
oh yeah, so it would be nice to see Alderaan before it knocks her
Yeah.
out. I don't know. I think that's really it.
I know
don't
that
remember
the
any
series is
others.
going to be led and directed by Deborah Chow, who did the Revenge of the Sith. So, whoo!
Wait, she did Revenge of the Sith?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
And she did an episode of season 1 of Mando.
I knew she was in Mando. I didn't know she did Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, I don't recall the episode. She might have done episode 7, I think, of Mando.
Okay.
I could be wrong. That would be the episode right before Taika did the death of IG. Rest in peace. He just did the Catholic cross and then kiss to the
In the
sky.
name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Little finger kiss
Yeah.
from my boy IG.
Taika 11. But yeah, so I have complete faith because who better? She knows the source material.
Yeah.
She did Revenge of the Sith. This is taking place right after. I don't know how many years right after.
Well, I mean, he's got to look like Obi-Wan and not old Obi-Wan, so it's not 20 years later.
No, it could be literally right after.
I'm guessing it'll start right after in his escape.
Yeah, I want it to be like that. Or, show flashbacks. But I would prefer... I'm kind of over the flashbacks. Even though the Book of Boba Fett didn't technically really do that many flashbacks.
No, they didn't.
There's just enough. Where I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Plus it doesn't help that, Mando has flashbacks, and then Book of Boba has flashbacks, and then...
Yeah.
Great, now Obi-Wan has flashbacks.
So...
We get it.
When I rewatched the first 2 seasons of Mando after episode 5 of Book of Boba, because that inspired me to just rewatch it, it's very tasteful how they do the flashbacks in Mando.
Yeah.
Triggered by the hammer, show a couple flashes of scenes, back to the present.
Yep.
It's great.
And they build off of
Yes, and it's
so
just
it's
tasteful.
one scene
Mhm.
that they keep flashing back to, but each time they flash back, they show just a little bit more.
Yeah. I think that they just... I loved the whole Tuscan arc. I just think that they should have shortened it a bit.
Mhm.
Especially if they're going to just end it the way they did with the Tuscans. It was like, okay.
I have a theory.
Ooh.
I just thought of it.
All right. Here, we'll end the show with a theory. Let's do it.
Bo-Katan wants the Darksaber.
Yes, she does.
If she gets wind of what's going on, maybe she joins the Pikes so she can defeat Mando.
Joining the Pikes.
And you get a surprise appearance from Bo-Katan in the last episode of
Ooh.
Boba, so she can defeat Mando and claim the rule to Mandalore.
Oh my god. Wow. Join up with the people who invaded your planet at one point and poisoned the schools. You know what? I'll give you a little funny theory to build off of that.
Did I ever give my bad theory?
You might not have.
All right, do your funny theory, and then
I've just got a quick funny theory to build onto yours. She grabs the Darksaber, but then
she opens it the wrong way, and it just
she goes back to Mandalore and then is like, hey, I've got the Darksaber now. I actually won it in combat this time. Goes to rule. And then she gets elected and everything. She goes to bed and sleeps. And then somebody sneaks into the room, gives her a kiss on the cheek, and then kills her.
No, you can't do my girl like that.
And it is Duchess Satine's nephew. And I say that in air quotes.
It's Obi-Wan's
totally
kid.
not her and Obi-Wan's love child.
No, not at all. he looks nothing like them at all.
And then he's just like, sleep well, sweet auntie.
You can't do my girl Katie Sackhoff. At least not yet. If they want to make that an end thing, though, sometime in the future.
Like I said,
I'd be
bad
okay with
theory.
that. I'd be okay with that, though. It's a bad theory, but it's... No, I'd be okay with that.
I wouldn't mind seeing him again just for the memes.
So you're
All right,
ready?
so give us your bad theory. Now, this is for
This is for Book of Boba.
the...
The last episode.
Okay.
Because I've given you guys a lot of
Actual theories.
a lot of actual theories about the future of Star Wars and what I would think would happen. And now it's on record, so that way when I am right, because I've been right about this quite a bit,
Heck yeah.
I can pump my chest and say bow to me. So my bad theory is they're gonna have their standoff, right? It builds up. It's been building up to the Pikes and Boba and Mando and now Cad. But what they don't realize is that C-3PO, Lord of the Ewoks, has made his way back to Tatooine, and he has now also become Lord of the Jawas.
Did he bring his army of Ewoks with him?
did.
Oh, God. Ewok space travel. Never thought I'd see it.
Not only that, one of the Ewoks is force sensitive.
Oh, no. Warwick Davis coming back?
Sure, if he's still alive.
Please call that Ewok Willow.
Willow. Okay. So Willow, the force sensitive Ewok, is going to be commanded by I don't want to say corrupted, but some of the wires are starting to
They're a
go.
little loose, huh?
He's got some loose wires, so he's becoming inherently more and more evil. He's becoming a tactical droid from the Clone Wars.
Oh, boy.
And in terms of like how he thinks and just like
Yep.
his ruthlessness.
It's all percentages now.
Exactly. So he's going to command his army of Ewoks and Jawas.
Oh, God.
And he is going to become
Spears and stun guns.
the Mandalore of Tatooine.
Is he gonna wield the Darksaber? He's gonna win in combat? What's he gonna choke off Mando?
Even though it hasn't happened yet, he's going to find the lightsabers that Rey buries in the sand.
Well, Rebels did introduce time travel.
That is true. So he's going
Get it.
he's gonna find the lightsabers and he's going to wield the lightsabers and rule Tatooine with a golden iron fist.
Oh my gosh. Not a Beskar fist. You know, I like that. That would be a great what if episode.
It would.
But, so I completely forgot about those buried lightsabers. What if the first student isn't Grogu, but it's Leia? You made me think of that when you brought up those buried lightsabers.
Ooh. Well, because she does train.
Yeah, and it's well before, if I remember correctly, well before Ben is born, because she gives up the training when she gets like a premonition of having Ben, I think.
It's either having Ben or what Ben could become, or something like that. And so she says, "I don't want to risk it." And of
Yeah.
course, by doing that, she risks it.
Yes, that's always how it happens.
And
Which is a Skywalker trait.
yeah,
Happens with Anakin.
so
It's possible.
you might be onto something.
They'll just have to hire a voice actress.
Well, so I guess what they did with Luke in the most recent
They
episodes-
DH Mark Hamill's voice.
Well, yes, but they didn't actually use Mark Hamill for any of it. Like, they found a bunch of just clips and used something that I had never heard of, and that's how they did all his audio. They didn't get Mark Hamill into the studios.
Really?
I read a thing about it today.
See, I thought that's what they did for season 2 of Mando, but for Book of Boba, they just DH'd his voice.
So, I don't know if it's true, because I found it on Instagram.
I mean, that's inspiring. That's so cool.
But, I mean, with the technology they have nowadays...
Yeah,
I wouldn't put it
either
past
way,
them.
it sounds and looks amazing.
Yeah. So, I guess what they did was they took a bunch of sound bites
Mhm.
and they used some type of program or something. Excuse me. And that's how they made...
I joined you.
Attaboy. That's how they made his dialogue. So they didn't actually have Mark Hamill go into the studios again.
That's how they made Obi-Wan say Rey in Force Awakens when she had the lightsaber drug trip. They spliced together a couple words from both Ewan McGregor and Sir Alec Guinness.
Really?
Yeah, to make him go Rey.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They
So-
just spliced a bunch of words together.
I could totally see Leia being
Yeah.
the first student.
And I wouldn't even mind if they just hired a similar voice actress and then
I
they
wouldn't
can
either.
alter the
Yeah,
'cause
I
they're-
mean, that makes it tough because Carrie Fisher is no
Yeah.
longer with us.
yes, she's no longer with us, but
May
I
she
think
rest in peace.
I would say that it honors her further to attempt to continue with her character.
Yeah, I mean, I understand.
She will always be Leia.
Well, just like, what's his name? The guy that did Mr. Potato Head in Toy Story.
Oh yeah, I know
Don
who you're.
Pickles or something.
Yeah.
Like, when he died, they had enough audio where they made everything after he had died. But, I mean, I don't think you really would have known that if you didn't know he was dead. Like, to just have that much dialogue.
Rip to a good one.
Yeah. So, I'm sure they could do the same thing with Leia. It's just tricky because she doesn't have a lot of dialogue. You know, without calling people scruffy-looking nerds.
That's just the only thing she says. Like for the rest of the series, they introduce her, and then
every time she gets mad at Luke for being a
Scruffy-looking nerf
bad
herder.
trainer, she just calls him a nerf herder.
Which we finally saw live action nerfs.
Wait, what?
Season 5. I mean, in Book of Boba Fett episode 5, when Mando's walking through the butcher shop, the dead meat, that's nerfs.
Oh,
Yeah, they show it in the concept art in the credits.
I haven't seen much of the concept. Mando's the one that I really pay attention to.
Yeah, I've been paying attention to both.
I did the first episode.
It's because of Mando that I did for Book of Boba.
I think because it's not Mando, that's why I'm like,
Yeah, you don't care as much.
yeah.
Which is crazy because before Mando became so prominent, everybody was like, why not just do Boba?
Yeah.
And it's crazy how it changed. But you know what? I'm not going to complain. It's been phenomenal.
It has.
I'm excited to see this last episode.
Me too. Me too.
So I'm equally as excited to talk about it.
Me too.
Oh my god.
Can't wait.
All right. We're over 2 hours.
So you said half an hour ago that we were going to wrap up.
Yep. So here we go. We will talk next time. We'll probably talk about burgers, omelets, fairs, and Star Wars again, you know?
That's right.
Everything under the sun.
Everything under the sun.
Under the twin suns of Tatooine.
That's right.
We will not leave you left for dead on the sands of Tatooine.
Nope.
All right. Let's take us out.
Which button is it?
I want to press it. Right there. Fist pumping. All right. We out. We out.